Belizean Legends, and I'm Bilal Morris. Today in the studio, we are talking with a dynamic and outstanding Belizean photojournalist, photographer, and filmmaker, Brother Clyde Gillett. Brother Clyde Gillett has not been a stranger at all in the Los Angeles Belizean community, and neither has he been a stranger across the entire Los Angeles County, where he has worked as a epic, outstanding Belizean photographer, photojournalist throughout the entire Los Angeles multicultural community. This brother has shot from the Los Angeles Hollywood Carnival. He has shot from the Belizean Key Fest to the Belize Independence Day celebrations right here in Los Angeles. He has covered City Hall, the mayor's office. He has covered the political scene in the Los Angeles Belizean community. He's the pulse of the photos that we have seen many times on Belizean Legends, showing his outstanding work that I have compiled and I have shown many a times. Brother Clyde Gillett his work expand a tremendous spectrum of outstanding photography that has been brought to the Los Angeles Belizean community, but throughout the whole of California itself and throughout the United States. This brother has covered so many events, political, social, cultural, musical, and otherwise. And without any further ado, we want to welcome you, Brother Clyde Gillett, to the Belizean Legend Studios, my brother. Welcome.
Thank you so much for that great introduction, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be here in front of the cameras of Belizean Legend.
Yes, my brother. I want to right away, Brother Clyde, go straight into your work in terms of how you started, because many of the times people saw you with the camera all the time, on the move. But how did photography, photojournalism, and filmmaking start for you? Tell us your humble beginning, my brother.
Thank you very much. I can graciously say it started from the one above. I always give thanks to the things that inspire are given to us for a purpose. And those purposes become a channel for expression. So in this way, I use the purpose as a channel for expression through my photography. I migrated here from Belize, grew up in the greater part of the west side in Los Angeles, California. Attended the great institution and school that was afforded at this particular time in the city of Los Angeles, and gathered some knowledge and information about the next step in this journey from Belize to America. In doing so, we have pretty much trying to master English in a way that I could be accepted in the American community without being shunned in any way, shape, or form. Through that particular time, I've learned so much that there's a time that came where I started hearing a lot more about the Belizean community, more so than the American counterpart that I've already adapted to. And those conversations that came to me were in the form of poverty, crime, and corruption. At a point in my life, I asked the question, why is it going on? And would that have been my plight if I had remained in Belize, of what I would be going through, as opposed to the Belizeans who went through, who are currently going through many variety of challenges in this particular time. So I started out and said to creatively, I've been tooling in the music industry for some time in the earlier 90s. And then from the 90s of music, I started jumping into cinematography. And cinema, per se, was the key element in introduction here. I felt that I can go tell a story and show it to the world. So in the younger stages, I teamed up with Jackie Long and Hassan Johnson's. You guys can check the IMDb of these two individuals who were very instrumental in taking a stand in teaming up and coming to share stories about something that was very interesting and needed to be told.
Yeah, my brother, you talk about your humble beginnings, Brother Clyde, and how you got started in photography. I know you have been very humble in terms of even breaking down or taking me way back in terms of that. But the person that you are not about basically all the accolades and all of that. But you are about the work that you brought here today. Let's get straight into it then. Brother Clyde, you have pioneered so many projects in terms of photography, photojournalism. You also started your career also with a film. Let's talk about that first film that you produced, and then we will go from there and talk about your photography and other things, because it is so broad. Your work is so broad. But let's talk about your film that you produced. Tell us about that.
The film I produced was a short that was entered into the 2012 Belize International Film Festival in Belize. And this project is titled Within the Shadows of Belize, A Green Day Rises. This project came about with the concerning amount of information living here in the Los Angeles area, migrated from Belize, that I was hearing about Belize and the growing gang conditions and the concerns of that. That allowed me to dwell into how can I go and ask the question to my fellow Belizeans and extract something that we may be able to better learn and engage upon by finding solutions. That project initially was titled American Ways. And American Ways was titled Americanized deportees from various parts of the globe return to their homeland with these newfound ways that cripple our community as opposed to enhancing on the down level, meaning the negative side, the hustlers, the people who wants it right now and not willing to put a little work in there and grow and get the experience of this journey called life. And so I went down that field that I was able to capture some of the stories and be able to share with the world so we can find different alternative ways of dealing with it. And I found when I traveled to Belize, I had a camera man by the name of Cameron Weaver. He was a very instrumental individual in giving me a lot of different scopes of the lens. And upon me walking into the Belize community, I heard this. Oh, he from the States. And oh, he to bring a white man too. At that moment, I turned to the individual perched and I said, and he's cool. And that word cool allowed me to lessen the stress that somebody was able to engage the individual speaking to me as opposed to shun him. And I proceeded to my filming location at that particular time. Mind you, the project was titled American Ways. And once I entered the yard and found that people were less likely to speak to me about their concerns at this particular time in their life in the city, they was less reluctant to get on camera because of fear of retaliation, a fear of who really are you to capture my content of myself and produce it to the world in any way that you may feel that you may deem may have been a positive way or a negative way. Because previously someone entered Belize and tried to challenge the gangs of the world and left a kind of a mark in the Belizean mindset, because it wasn't all about that. So I said, let this story tell another story from the inside perspective. And once I opened my mouth with that, I was less likely to have anyone speak. I had to think real fast because I had a group of people in the yard, was excited. So I said to myself, will you allow me to shoot your shadow upon a dilapidated part of the community that has been torn down over the concerns of the poverty, crime, and corruption that's currently involved in the daily conversation? The line grew outside the gate. 60 people were willing to get on camera to talk about their concerns in a way that I found was a creative way to artistically express this way, because of the end result, the hardships comes from the closed business, the closed school, the closed community center, the closed mind, and then we have a problem. So With that, I took sat down and had a lot of people concerned and dispel their concerns in Belize. And at that moment, I was moved. I was moved to the point I may have something a little more than I initially thought was coming into them. Getting testimonies from people who lived through something that I missed, only to tell me in a form that I had to say, I gotta make a difference. So I took the stories and I said, within the shadows of Belize, the community members are speaking and asking please for a time and an ear to hear something that is not them, that's committing these things, that's causing this influx of concerns. I remember one individual walked into the yard to tell his story. And he said he walks into a yard to meet his friends and find out that he has few more friends through this portal. And he was very expressive in the conversation, in the way he delivered the concerns of him. And he said he's come back to Belize after 18 years to find this place broke up, distress and concerns. And at that time, the streets wasn't really repaired, and the roadway to the Toledo district have not got the beautification that it now has. And it's a pleasure to know that progress have moved forward in many ways, and some things have not. So with that cinematography approach, I used the, in that cinematography approach, I used the platform to offer a portal for others like myself and the friends of the newfound Belizean that have migrated out of Belize to chime in, and maybe we may be able to find some unconventional way, but in a conventional way, and make something that may have not worked yesterday work tomorrow and work today. The constant evolution of trying to find ways to express and show a heightenedness of ourselves has been purposely inbounded in me, have been purposely given to me through a channel that allow me to express and give honesty through these expressions.
Wonderful, my brother. You have took us through a very important journey of your life and your career as an artist in terms of that very outstanding film that you did. I remember very well that film was also a film that came through UCLA, as you mentioned, and that it was also presented in the Belize International Film Festival, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Clyde, talk about your work as a filmmaker with the Belize International Film Festival, what you have done so far in conjunction with that film festival and in helping your country Belize in the arts. Mainly one through your film, but what you're presently doing now with the Belize Film Commission and so on. Talk about that.
Thank you very much for that great question. Currently, as being a Belizean filmmaker, I felt the need to add something to the institution that brought this platform to my forefront. And in doing so, I felt that the best thing I can do to my fellow Belizeans and for my fellow Belizeans, both at home and abroad, is to show this multicultural alignment of a variety of people on the globe, nested in Los Angeles, California, that has become the home of the largest population of Belizeans outside of Belize. What an opportunity in this portal that I have to show and shine the best of us. The moment that we capture the joy while we internally are concerned about our homeland, not to be far away from the concerns of the phone calls, because we are still attached. But I noticed that throughout the years, I haven't seen a collaborative mirror projected to the homeland of what we are doing here. It's not all about Belize. because we have been able to adapt to a variety of things that we've integrated into a cultural nexus, which becomes more understanding and finding similarities as opposed to working with our differences has been the positive chimed in role that I've been able to pursue and have been successful in finding humble people in a given way to receive and exchange information that we can be able to use to better someone's lives. And through this particular documentary and the UCLA relationship and the cinematography, I have been able to find a niche in a world that I thought would not have been easy to find because there's a million photographers. But when purpose is settled and given to you, there's a spirit that comes along with purpose of being able to tell a story. And my story is about sharing our story. As far as vast as we may go, I feel that I as being a Belizean, and what gives me the autonomy to speak on Belizean affair outside of the motherland that offers a credible path. The 103rd Police Station in South Central LA is ground zero to many press conferences when things occur in the community and they want to get a real handle on it. They do a lot of focal point on that because the community needs a lot more love, and it needs a lot more resources, and it needs a lot more champions to be able to bring a better mindset between the community and relation between the law enforcement and the residents. And that bridge is very much working. It's working because I'm reminded when I first attended the Clergy Council. And of course, the Clergy Council is also instrumental for the National Night Out, which in every August, each police department open up their facility and cordon off the blocks and have a big community block party where families and friends are able to have a safe zone to be able to enjoy the nexus of their neighborhood community relationships in form of dancing, artistry, expressiveness, a stage is set up, clowns are coming, a variety of artistic expressiveness is showing how the mothers and fathers in South Central LA have created a bargaining relationship with other parents to raise their kids through an artistic expressiveness, if it's dancing, drumming, rapping, artistry, and singing. But we have a group of mothers and fathers that have taken, from the time I first entered, there was minimal people partaking with the experience. The years grew, and you start seeing the mothers attending 25 to 30 kids in a dance routine, and then you start seeing the fathers attending with the mothers of the routine thing that they normally use to be able to enhance the community at the National Night Out. And now we see the parents partaking by showing their expressive artistic talent as well as with their children. So we've seen a major growth in allowing people a platform to come outside and get from behind the walls of your house and the imagination that everything is wrong and not able to witness the various changes that are occurring in the fellow Angelinos that brings about this new surge of, I want to get to know you and I want you to get to know me because I need you to call me if there's a problem happening in my house. And I know you want me to call you if there's a problem happening in your house. So there's an exchange until we're able to walk better.
Yeah, wonderful, Brother Clyde. And you have journeyed also into Belize. You have done incredible work in terms of photography and photojournalism in Belize itself. I know for a fact that you are a Belize city boy. You were raised in that city. A lot of Belizeans need to know that you come from there. You can talk broadly about these comparisons between the South Central Los Angeles and the gang crisis here, and also Belize City and the gang crisis there, that they are one of the same, being that the one was exported from South Central into Belize City. As you go as a photographer and as a photojournalist covering events in Belize, one of those very important events that you have embarked on and you have helped build is called the Barefoot Project, which I want you to talk about in terms of this question here that I'm asking you. How can you make a comparison with your work with the LAPD and community development in terms of building that bridge between police and citizenry, particularly the Los Angeles Belizean community, and Belize itself? In your work there, what can you say, Brother Clyde, in terms of what you do with the LAPD and some of those services that are going on between the Los Angeles Belizean community and the LAPD that could make a difference also in Belize, that you have seen on the ground that could maybe help Belize with its problem in terms of youth delinquency and the struggle of the black youth, particularly in terms of gangs, and there is no relationship between police and the community in terms of black on black crime or police brutality. Talk about how some of those things that you are doing here could apply to Belize.
Well, I'm not an expert, and I don't tend to be. I'm not an expert, and I'm not on the level to be able to give some of the educated people who have mastered and researched these things and put practical programs together to address some of these things. But it's never enough. There's always something to enhance, and it's never enough. In these particular times, I've noticed that at these Stop the Violence rally, you get a big community turnout. You get people that join in the walk because someone else has taken a step, and it empowers others to kind of look at it in a different way, because change happens in a second. It's not something that you have to wait weeks for and all that. It happens in a second when you're inspired to be able to make a change in your life, and may stumble, but you have a course, and the course set. I think that the Belize extract a lot of information from the outside world. More so that the information that are negatively going and feeding into the minds of the gang activities is offset by the information that are equally balancing and overstanding those negativity on a positive trail of how to recover. So I feel that here in America, from the various other Belizeans here, and everything that has been learned, that extract the good and leave the bad, that we can apply to give the good to make them better. This is where the real exchange comes. The internet now is a source of information from everyone. Whether you get the right information or the wrong information, be reminded that the human connection is still vital. The tears are still the same. The pain are still the same. The information can enhance or degrade. It's where you find yourself to be motivated and to stand high.
Very much so. Yeah, quite so, my brother. Quite so. That's good enough for us. But I want to go into the honor that was bestowed upon you through Consul General Office under the offices of the Honorable Roland York. Can you pull that distinguished award that was bestowed upon you as a photographer and photojournalist in the Los Angeles Belizean community? And there it is.
This award is by far a great milestone. Being extracted and being, I would say extracted, meaning I grew outside Belize. I didn't get the mango nutrition that came from the soil, but I'm the seed of the land. So the growth that has been matured has taken me to a place where this photographer exhibit that was held at the Consulate General Office here in Los Angeles under the tender of the former Consul General, Mr. Roland York, And this focused upon photographers in the Los Angeles area, an artistic community who had this sense of urgency, of expressiveness, all came about at this one particular day where we held a 7-month long going of 7 photographers on their various works at the consulate office. And this is a recognition of partaking, because my selection of pictures that I brought that day was from the Within the Shadows of Belize documentary at Green Day Rises. And this documentary was the pivotal point for me to walk back into my community, not as a outsider, not as a not as an outsider, not as a person coming in with too much, but I came in with a listening ear about things that were unbeknownst to me through focusing in America, obtaining this Americanized ideology to function into this society. And in doing so, I found a part to love. And when I find that love that's shown through people who understand, then I love them back by giving my best, by making sure that we're over the top, and because we never know. We have a generation moving forward. Those Belizeans who migrated here at one point yesteryear have children and grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren. They are left without a portal, a visual of their heritage, their mindset of fellow Belizeans who, unbeknownst to you, might not know they're Belizean, but in the core, there's something burning that says Belize, understanding. So those are the attributes that allows me to continue where the recognition comes from the unusual place. Yes. And all I'm doing is picking up the camera and attending an event and taking my passion to another level and purpose.
And capturing that community, as you spoke about, that the dynamism of that community, the vibrancy of that community through photographs, that future generations of Belizeans yet unborn can come and they can see themselves, see their great-grandfathers, their grandfathers, grandmothers, their grandparents. They can see that there was a community there and that there still is a community here. And that there's these photographs that you have taken and others have taken that have captured that history, that dynamic history of the Belizean diaspora in Los Angeles. And I think, my brother, that is a very, very, very important work that you do, because photographs are the only means in which you can tell these stories. It's like they say, a picture tells 1,000 words. In that, those pictures, and I like that part where you have underscore where your work that you did at that exhibit that was set up by the Honorable Consul General of Los Angeles, former Consul General Roland York, brought that to the forefront. And it's then documented that future generations now with social media and all of that, present and future generations of Belizean children born from Belizean parents that has immigrated out of Belize or migrated out of Belize can look at their history and can learn something about the Los Angeles Belizean community. Awesome work, Brother Clyde. I was at that exhibit that was put off, and I was able to see the array of photographs that you yourself, the photographers, Francois Estrada, Norman Renault, and Kurt Sanchez, and all of them had brought, and the Consul General brought all these, and one young lady, what was her name again, Brother Clyde? Monique, yes? Monique, I remember that very photograph in my head, seeing a photograph of five of you, right?
Correct.
All five of you with your outstanding work, and I think they featured one after the next, which was a very good thing that was bestowed upon all of you all, because photographers and photojournalists like you all are really the face of the Belizean community here in Los Angeles. You capture that face that other people can see all over the world, that there is something great going on here in Los Angeles with Belizean and Belizean people. I want to go to your next honor that was bestowed upon you, if you may, and right there, Brother Clyde, you have that very talk about the Kafeka Award.
We go back to Kofeka.
Yes.
And as you see, it's a distinguished citizen.
Yes, very much so.
And that day was a pivotal day for myself. That day spoke about.
Let's hold it up, Brother Clyde, so all the viewers can see very much. Yes.
That day spoke about continuance.
Yes.
The follow through. The allowing others to see us in a light that offers collaborative sense of mindset, where we're not left from the table in preserving our culture along with various other demographics preserving their culture here in the city. So this opportunity for one of the Belizeans migrant person to shine.
Yes, and let's read the Kofeka acronym at the top of the logo. What does it actually mean? Central American
Federation of Central Americana.
Okay.
That means it's a collective bodies
Confederation of
Central Americanas who now live here from these particular countries in the Central American region.
And they're made up of Belize, Guatemala, Salvador, Honduras, Costa Rica, Panama, and all those countries, Nicaragua, all those countries that makes up what we know as Central America.
Correct.
Central Americana, a federation of Central American peoples coming together here in Los Angeles, trying to do important and constructive things in terms of community building. But Clyde Gillett, you were one of those people who captured some of the outstanding photographs. Talk about some of the things that Kofeka did that you were able to shoot as a photographer.
Well, everything. I know that in the body of Kofeka, other countries have events, and normally those events don't get coverage from another outside element because we tend to feel that it doesn't pertain to us, that we're not going to be received when we attend these events. That's been dismissed because I allowed myself and I was invited into places that I would normally feel a sense of non-belonging. This organization have brought in mindsets of I can work with a group of people from various parts of the world and community and focus upon showing the best of ourselves from our cultural experience and from what we've learned as mannerism, mindset, character assessment, all the various things that allow someone I'm going to retain the good things and let the bad things flow off the shoulders. So it created a great opportunity for allow that synergy and exchange to occur.
Yes, very much so. Awesome. I don't know if you had any other award that was bestowed upon you, because I'm trying, each of them deal with a specific aspect of your work in terms of these broad spectrum of institutions that you covered, not only the Los Angeles Belizean community, but City Hall, the Los Angeles Police Department, and now Kofeka. Is there anything other, the Carnival? Talk about, I don't know if you were given any award in your work that you have covered, but you were one of the, your photography was one of the most colorful and outstanding photography that many people have seen on Facebook and on Instagram in terms of covering the Hollywood Carnival. Talk about it.
The Hollywood Carnival is a great expressiveness of the cultural diversity within the city. The Carnival Jubilee happens in the month of June, which is now the Caribbean Heritage Month, which was given proclamation from the late President Barack Obama, and also reinforced by the current president now that the Caribbean Heritage Month is June. So in that month, Hollywood Carnival has broadened into all of the diaspora of the Caribbean realm. From Ghana to Barbados to Trinidad to Belize to Jamaica to the uncommon thing that is within our thread that we might not even be knowing. But they took it a step further. They made it a one world, one people, and invited the whole nexus of everyone in this star-studded Hollywood Boulevard, the variety of people that's here, the cultural pride that we are bestowed with, is a portal now. The Hollywood Carnival channel and the LA Cultural Fest is a portal to broaden that a little bit more so we can be able to be invited mentally and just by our fellow Angelino to come to these events, partake. Bring something special that you may have in your particular fold and showcase it to the city. This is a great opportunity to align our likes and our similarities and express our joy. And the more joy and the more smiles that are given, I believe, the less worries and concerns of things that are unlikely to happen in our lives to be more prominent in our lives. You know, stick with the simple things that brings the best feelings.